Alright, welcome back to a brand new video of the Targeted Individual Program, Targeted Individual Experience. What a day, cold day today. Alright, it is 30 something degrees. You know, it's just crazy. I see you looking back, man. I see you. You're looking up at the window. Hilarious. So how they do this, right? What is called a staring campaign. It is to stare at things in front of you and to do it every single day.
You know what I mean? Like,
for
this is what they're doing.
we can't give you money, but
decades, for years, decades, right? Conditioning your mind, right? Putting things in your mind. And then, you know, they'll say, oh, you know, yeah, he's crazy, she's crazy. And what people don't understand is how they're doing it. And I'm showing you guys exactly how they're doing it. All right, the use of honey pots, honey traps, men, women, children, the elderly, and so forth. All right, it is a constant thing that they do. All right, and then they radicalize people. They radicalize people to commit violence. They radicalize people to commit other acts of that is destructive and detrimental to themselves and others. And it feeds an industry that just want to push pills. They don't want to hear what you got to say. They don't want to give you solutions. They just want to push pills. All right, when I talk about the turncoats, the Sambos and Sambinas in the black community, the Negropeans, so indoctrinated with religion that common sense is no longer part of their mentality, of their mindset. Right? Self-respect and love for oneself and one's people is no longer in their mindset. Jeez, bro. Right? This is what you gotta understand, my people. Right? The white supremacist has been conditioning us for decades, and yet we just don't understand. Number 32. 135321. All right, you got the. Yeah, he's pointing. You know, they use the disability vehicles with the disability emblem on it. All right, a disability logo on it. You know, knowing the fact that they disable you. All right. And again, there's many different forms of disability. It's not just one. It's not just physical, but it's also mental. All right. It's also cognitive. So when they want to engage in certain type of narrative, you know, you got it, because again, you know, they have people believing. So as long as they believe, the idea is, as long as you believe, right? Well, how many black people believe, right, and end up in the worst situation, or the situation get worse, and they still continue to believe, never to get better. But it's always holding on to that hope, holding on to that belief system, right? It's enough to, you know, allow them to accept what's being done and not say anything about it, not want better. All right, so the minute black people start wanting better, look. So you keep looking over there. You want me to see the U.S. flag on his hat. All right, it is the patriotic theme I talk about. And it's interesting too, because Malcolm X said that don't be so blind with patriotism that you don't see your reality and you ignore the truth. I see you looking at, bro. I see you. Oh yeah. So what else? Yeah, let's talk about the Letitia James, New York Attorney General settlement. You know, with what is this? I think they're in Syracuse, New York. You know, renting out their apartment and houses. Got is riddled with lead, high toxic levels of lead. All right. And people will, you know, when I say these things, you know, my own people will be looking at you like, you know, okay, not, you know, they don't even realize that they themselves was highly likely that they were victims of lead poisoning growing up as a child. See, you know, like you said, they tend to want to focus on public housing, right? So we know that public housing, particularly NYCHA here in New York, also in Chicago and LA, and all these cities across America, and towns across America. You know, I talk about public housing sector, how they're building poison land. You know, the apartment buildings use lead paint, right? In New York, NYCHA caught lying about apartments being lead free when apartments were still have high elevated levels of lead paint. And they lie. They lie, they get away with it, they pay a fine, and that's it. But what about the private housing sector? Right? So now we're beginning to see, right, how, like I said, you know, New York, you know, my people love to believe, because we live in New York, that New York is one of the most racist states. New York is one of the most racist states in America. And that's a fact. All right? One of the most racist states. Just remember, they assassinated Malcolm X in New York. Right? Just remember, you had a whole secret police department. The whole hands out thing.
To open the arm thing.
All right? You know, New York City, New York Predator Police Department, they have these secret police units. Right? In the 60s and 70s, it was Boss. In the 80s and 90s, it was the Hip Hop Police Squad, or the Predator Hip Hop Police Squad. Right? So, again, they always have these secret police department, police units, I should say. Just like how they have the narcotics unit that just got disbanded. How you beat up a man that is just an innocent man? Bottles are breaking everywhere, and they don't even have the concern or the mindset to see that what it is that they're doing is dangerous. Not only to the victim that they beat up, but to themselves as well. They did not care. A bunch of racist ass motherfuckers beating on the black man. And like I said, black people, we gotta defend ourselves. You gotta learn to defend yourself. Take some self-defense courses. I wish I could. Shit, they done messed up my back, so I can't even do that. I'm very limited in what I can do in terms of self-defense, but I do know a couple of moves. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're coming at me, and if I could put you down quickly, I'm gonna put you down quickly. Okay, it ain't gonna, you know, it ain't gonna be me, you know, dragging out some fight. It ain't gonna happen, because you know, like I said, I don't really fight. I don't look for trouble, but you know, hey, if it comes my way, I defend myself. Simple as that. But my people got to learn to defend themselves. Right? Stop spending all that money on some of the nonsense that y'all buy, and pay for some self-defense classes. There are but there are a few black-owned self-defense schools, and this is what we should be doing. We need to go back to our ones in the 70s. It's the reason why the U.S. government got rid of all those martial arts schools that were showing up, that were being opened, right? Because people, you gotta understand, they have to disarm the people, right? They have to disarm the people. They have to condition you to be passive, right? While they themselves radicalize themselves in each other into committing atrocities and committing crimes against the people. Because they don't want you to fight back. They don't want you to defend yourself, right? It's like the bully, right? The bully will start bullying you because you might be bigger, or they might know how to fight. The color gray. And the dudes with the braids, man. Look at that. I've walked up in here how many times? Almost every day, not every day during the week, because my daughter don't even go to school every damn day because of her mother. But whenever I do, you don't usually see this. But whenever they want to use certain colors I talk about, this is what they'll do. And I can prove it. If you ever say, it's just a coincidence, no, it's not. When I talk about certain colors they've been using lately, and you see it happen, it is what it is. Alright? So that's why I do what I do. To show people exactly what is being done. Because like I said, it can happen to you, your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your aunt, your uncle, your niece, your nephews, your sons, your daughters. Right? Your best friend, your husband or your wife. Right? So they can, as you walk past me, he look at his watch, and then the dude over there, or the woman or whoever that is, take out her phone and look at him. So look, I'm doing the same thing too with my watch. Look, she turns. We're about to cross the street, right? See, I can tell you I can affect them. Right? Whenever they start talking to me and I start targeting their ass back, this is what they do, right? They literally will walk the other way or will turn, You gotta open your eyes, realize. Let the truth in. Right? As Bob Marley said, are you satisfied with the life you're living? Right? Because I said the people that has the power to make things better for us are not doing that. They're only making it worse. But you gotta understand their mindset. Right? The dark triad personality traits. Right? The fact that they see themselves as other than human. They see themselves as our gods. Right? They can feed us poison. They can do all these things to us. And we just accept it and go along with it. They can put medals in baby cereals. Right? That's what they do. Now, I want you to think about that. Right? They have been putting medals in baby cereals. Baby formula for which women buy to feed their baby. Alright? Now you tell me, who is the mental ill people? Who are? Who are the ones who are most mentally ill? That you will create food substitute that's supposed to be nutritious, as we claim, right? Because again, the lies, the deception, and the fact that we like to believe everything that they say, we love it. We love to believe everything that they say. We love to, when they come out and they say, I don't eat that stuff. Well, your company makes it. Yeah, but that stuff's not fit for human consumption. So the people that you're selling it to, who buy your product, that eat your product, are not humans. It's funny how we just don't even understand how much we are being brainwashed and conditioned to not see the truth. Right? It's very, very funny and very interesting what it is that they do, how they do it. Right? The chemicals black women put in their hair, poison. By the time they reach their mid-40s, they're losing the hair on their head, or their hair is thinning out, or they're getting tumors and cancer. Poison. Right? Let's talk about it now. The toys our children play with, right, used to be filled with lead and all sorts of carcinogens that are harmful to children. Could you imagine baby toys being made with lead? and these people are marketing and selling it as it being safe. Again, you gotta understand the mindset of these people and how they've conditioned us. There's something in psychological conditioning called learned self-helplessness. Right? Negropeans are the most of any group that you can see within their population. There's a learned self-helplessness. Right? It happens with us as TIs as well. Right? Because we are constantly attacked daily. Right? So we have no choice in terms of what we experience to feel that way. We have no choice because it's being done daily. Right? And it's important that we understand that. It's important that we recognize that. Right? It is very, very important. It's important that we understand that. I see you, Amazon delivery driver. That's why I turn the phone this way. You know? I see exactly what it is that she's doing. You got a dollar in his hand. Dude walking over here towards me. Right? So, hopefully, my daughter. Oh shit! I don't want to cross the street here. Hopefully, my daughter is still in the school, so I get up there because they can't really hang out in front of the school. So let's see. All right. Oh yeah. Whew. Anyhow, like I said, I'll talk to you guys in the next video.